Am I the idiot for telling my brother I hate him and I'll probably never be able to forgive him? Background. I am a 27-year-old female and my brother is 25. We were raised by a single dad after our mom left, so we only had each other. I'll refer to my dad as Dad and my brother as James. Fast forward to when I was 18 years old, my dad was diagnosed with schizophrenia. This took a toll on me mentally because my brother refused to help. My dad accepted help and was put on medication. Fast forward to when I was 23 years old, my dad had a stroke and was diagnosed with heart failure. I was the sole caretaker and it was breaking me. He was still able to work and function unless he had an episode, which was rare with the medication. Fast forward, I moved out of state for my peace of mind and a break. My brother James promised to step up. In September of 22, I could tell my dad was deteriorating, so I called James to advise him of my power of attorney rights. James told me I was being dramatic and that I didn't need to worry because I was selfish and left. Fast forward to November, 2 days went by without hearing from my dad. I called for a welfare check and they found him deceased, believed to have had a heart attack. I immediately flew back home that day. When I got there, James drunkenly confessed to me that he had seen our dad the day before and described him as unrecognizable, sick, couldn't eat, move, or anything. James brought him some energy drinks and left, saying, if it was that bad, he's an adult and would have asked to go to the doctor. I stood there stunned, speechless. My brother kept pushing me to say something, and finally I snapped and said, I hate you. I'll probably never forgive you for this. The one time you had to be an adult, you couldn't. And if you had, there's a possibility he could still be alive today. He called me a heartless bitch, and now all of my family is saying the same. But I feel my feelings are valid, so am I the idiot? Edit to add, I understand that eventually I would have had to come to terms with his passing. But what angers me the most is that my brother robbed me of his final moments. I didn't get to say goodbye. I didn't get to tell him how much he meant to me. I didn't get to tell him how he was my hero. I didn't get to say thank you for still loving me every day when our birth mom left us because we were a burden. I feel like so many things were taken away from me. Edit 2. I did explain to the police the following week what happened and exactly what my brother had told me when the autopsy on my father was performed. When I spoke to the detective, they basically said I was out of luck because I had no proof other than my brother's confession, which I also had no evidence of. And because I couldn't definitively prove that my dad was in a manic state at the time of the incident, nothing could be done, especially considering the heart failure diagnosis he had received 2 years prior. I also want to say thank you so much for all of the support, even from those who don't agree with me. I understand that me leaving the state made me responsible, and I take accountability for that and regret it every day. But I have started seeing a therapist who specializes in grief. I have been very angry for a long time. My dad had living siblings and a father who lived in the same state, and they knew everything but did nothing. While my main focus of anger has been on my brother for a long time, I'm also angry at everyone I begged for help, who promised they would but didn't. Either way, there are a lot of comments and I can't really keep up through the tears, but I wanted to say thank you. This is the first time my anger and pain have felt acknowledged in a while, and I appreciate that. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. No, heartless is seeing your father dying and bringing him energy drinks and ignoring him to go get drunk. Your family is toxic and your precious father raised you right. I wouldn't forgive my brother either. I'm so sorry for your loss, OP. Ghost them. Your father is finally at rest. Go start your life and don't look back. Comment 2. Definitely not the idiot. James had a responsibility to care for your dad and completely let your family down. If your dad was that sick, James should have gotten him medical care. Also, why was he bringing energy drinks to someone with heart failure? Edit. Sorry for your loss, OP. Now for the update. Hey everyone, I wanted to start by thanking you all for reading my last post and for all the support and advice you gave me. It's been a tough few months since then, and a lot has happened. In the weeks following my dad's passing, I tried to focus on the funeral arrangements and sorting out his affairs. It was a difficult and emotional process, especially without much help from my family. James showed up to the funeral drunk and caused a scene, which only added to my anger and resentment towards him. After the funeral, I decided to stay in town for a while to handle my dad's estate and tie up loose ends. During this time, I discovered something that shook me to my core. While going through my dad's belongings, I found a letter he had written to me before he passed away. In the letter, he expressed his love for me and his gratitude for all the care I had provided him over the years. He also mentioned that he had tried to reach out to James for help in his final days, but James had brushed him off and told him to stop being a burden. Reading those words broke my heart all over again. I couldn't believe that James had not only neglected our father in his time of need, but had actively pushed him away. It was a painful realization that made me question everything I thought I knew about my brother. I confronted James about the letter, and he initially tried to deny it. But when I showed him the proof, he broke down and admitted that he had been struggling with his own demons and hadn't been able to face the reality of our dad's declining health. He apologized for his actions and for the pain he had caused, but I couldn't bring myself to forgive him. In the months that followed, I threw myself into work and tried to distract myself from the pain. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't shake the anger and resentment I felt towards James. It was like a constant weight on my chest, suffocating me from the inside out. One day I received a call from James out of the blue. He told me that he had started going to therapy and was working on getting sober. He said that he wanted to make amends for his past mistakes and rebuild our relationship. At first, I was hesitant to even consider it. The wounds were still too fresh, and I didn't know if I could ever trust him again. But as I listened to him speak, I realized that holding onto my anger was only hurting me in the end. I knew that my dad wouldn't have wanted us to be estranged, and I owed it to him to at least try to find a way forward. So I agreed to meet with James and hear him out. It was a difficult conversation, filled with tears and painful truths. But for the first time in a long time, I felt like we were actually communicating and trying to understand each other. We talked about our childhood and the struggles we had faced growing up with a single parent. James opened up about his own mental health issues and the guilt he felt over not being there for our dad. I shared my own feelings of abandonment and the pressure I had felt as the sole caregiver. It wasn't a magic fix, and there's still a lot of work to be done to rebuild our relationship. But it was a start, and it gave me a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, we could find a way to heal and move forward together. Looking back on the past few months, I realized that grief is a complicated and messy process. There are no easy answers or quick fixes, but I'm learning to take things one day at a time and to lean on the people who love and support me. I know that my dad would be proud of me for trying to find a way to forgive and move forward. And even though he's no longer here with us, I carry his love and his memory with me every day. Thank you all again for your support and for listening to my story. It means more than you know. Am I the idiot for replacing my bridesmaid over a dress color and then forgiving her? After learning about her mental health struggles, female 26, I am getting married in 4 days. I'm not the pickiest person. I told my bridesmaids 2 things they absolutely had to do were have silver shoes and purchase a burgundy mesh floor-length dress from Audacity. I have 8 bridesmaids, all with different body types, so I said they could pick any style they were comfortable with as long as it met those 3 requirements. About a month ago, my matron of honor, Liz, advised me to ask all of the women if they had ordered their dresses yet, because the delivery date was getting close to the wedding date. I followed her advice and sent a message to the group. Everyone responded that their dress was delivered or almost there except for one Sam. Sam responded with, "I have a dress." The wording made me uneasy, but Sam is known for not being the best texter. The kind where the wording is just kinda off, almost like a grandparent figuring out texting. So I figured she meant she had the dress already. Last night I'm talking to Liz and ask if I'm overthinking Sam's text. She tells me no, and that I should ask for a picture of the dress. I didn't want to because I trust my friend, and there's no way she meant anything other than she has the right dress, right? I texted her anyway, saying something along the lines of having seen everyone else's dress but not hers, and asked her to send a picture. Her response was, "'Cause I already have a maroon dress." My heart literally dropped. The only thing I could do was respond. That's not the right color." Sam texted back, confused, and insisted I said the dress had to be maroon and chiffon, but nothing else. I have the screenshots showing in December what I asked for with examples from the website. After that, it was just repeated versions of her saying, she can't be in the wedding. She's sorry for ruining everything and messing up, that she's such a shoot friend, and how she can't afford a dress right now. From there, I stopped answering. I asked for next to nothing from her for my wedding. I didn't require her to help with anything or come to any of the wedding events, no dress fittings, showers, or Bach trip. I just asked this one thing, and she couldn't do that. It honestly feels like my wedding day just wasn't important to her and straight up disrespectful. Here's where I may be the jerk. Liz was a bridesmaid in a wedding a few months ago with the same details as mine for bridesmaid dresses. She pulled out the old dress and it matches perfectly to the dress she bought for my wedding. This dress also happens to perfectly fit another friend of mine, Gabby, who was with us. I now have Gabby taking Sam's place in the wedding. Sam is still invited to the wedding, but she's not a bridesmaid anymore and won't be walking down the aisle. I feel absolutely horrible and have barely slept tonight, but my fiance is insisting that I've done nothing wrong. So Reddit, am I the jerk here? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. How Sam handled this was wrong and it's fine to remove her. But I guess I don't see why you needed to replace her. Gabby wasn't a good enough friend to have in your party before. But because she has the right body type for a dress, she's now worthy? That's the part that feels a bit ick to me. You could have just had an uneven bridal party. Comment 2. Not the idiot because Sam was misleading you up to the last minute after you were clear on dress detail, and Sam obviously intended to just show up to your wedding in a non-regulation dress without warning. I'd like to think there could have been workarounds if Sam had been upfront about her situation early on. But that's not what Sam did. Now for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a while since my last post, and I wanted to give you all an update on what's been happening. First off, thank you for all the support and advice you gave me during that difficult time. In the 3 months since my wedding, a lot has transpired. The day after the ceremony, Sam reached out to me, apologizing profusely for her mistake with the dress. She explained that she had been going through a tough financial situation and was too embarrassed to admit it. While I appreciated her honesty, I couldn't help but feel a lingering sense of disappointment. As the weeks went by, I noticed a growing distance between Sam and the rest of the bridal party. Liz in particular seemed to harbor resentment towards her. I tried my best to maintain a neutral stance, but it was clear that the dynamics had shifted. About a month after the wedding, I received a call from Sam's sister, who revealed that Sam had been struggling with depression and anxiety for years. She had been too proud to seek help and had been self-medicating with alcohol. This new information shed light on Sam's behavior leading up to the wedding and made me question whether I had been too harsh in my judgment. I decided to reach out to Sam and invite her for coffee. During our meeting, she opened up about her mental health struggles and how she had been too ashamed to confide in anyone. She expressed genuine remorse for letting me down and admitted that she had been avoiding the group out of guilt. As I listened to her story, I couldn't help but feel a mix of empathy and frustration. On one hand, I understood the challenges she had been facing, but on the other, I wish she had been more forthcoming from the beginning. In the weeks that followed, I made an effort to include Sam in group activities and rebuild our friendship. However, I soon realized that Liz and a few other bridesmaids were not as forgiving. They would often make snide comments about Sam's reliability and question my decision to give her another chance. The tension came to a head during a girls' night out when Liz confronted Sam about her behavior before the wedding. Sam, who had been making progress in her recovery, was caught off guard and became defensive. The argument escalated, and I found myself caught in the middle, torn between my loyalty to both friends. In that moment, I realized that I had to make a choice. I could either continue to placate Liz and the others, or I could stand up for Sam and the friendship we had been working to rebuild. I chose the latter, pulling Liz aside and explaining that while I understood her frustration, I believed in giving people second chances. The conversation with Liz was not easy, and it strained our relationship for a time. However, I knew that I had made the right decision. Sam had been putting in the work to better herself, and I couldn't turn my back on her when she needed support. As I reflect on the past 3 months, I realize that true loyalty isn't about blindly taking sides, but about being there for the people you care about, even when it's difficult. It's about recognizing that everyone makes mistakes and that growth is possible with understanding and compassion. While my wedding may not have gone exactly as planned, it taught me valuable lessons about friendship, forgiveness, and the importance of being true to oneself. I'm grateful for the experiences, both good and bad, that have shaped me into the person I am today. Thank you for taking the time to read this update. I appreciate all the love and support you've shown me throughout this journey. Am I the idiot for considering evicting my brother after he neglected our mother and refused to leave her house? In 2013, my mother was a new widow, and we bought out her remaining mortgage on her home. Mom has been living in that home since but now has Parkinson's. My brother Nate moved in to help take care of her. Nate had a home health background, so I thought it would be great. My daughter, 17, Sky, picked up my son, 19 Parker, from college. My family and I were going on vacation for Memorial Day. Parker and Sky made a slight detour to see their grandma. It was about 7 p.m. and the house was dark, and they let themselves in. The place was disgusting. As a teenager, Sky started a live stream and bad-mouthed her uncle, who was supposed to care for my mother and the house. They get to the kitchen, and moldy dishes and bugs are everywhere. My brother comes out screaming at my children for trespassing and ripping my daughter's phone out of her hand and throwing it. My daughter's friends and a cousin on my hubby's side see it, and the police are called. I'm called, and instead of making our flight for our trip, we are cleaning up my mom's home. Thankfully, my mom's room was clean, and her bathroom also, but my brother let the house go to shoot and hasn't been cleaning or doing dishes unless he knew we were coming over and we should show up. I reminded him it is technically our home, and we paid off the mortgage taxes. The deeds and title are in my name, so my kids can stop by and visit their granny whenever they want. Nate goes into how Sky recorded him in the home, making him look bad. He may face some legal issues of neglect because of what people are saying on TikTok, and the police did come to talk to my brother about it. So instead of going away for the weekend cruise, my family is out thousands of dollars and is pissed at Nate. Nate is angry at Sky. My husband wants to evict my brother and get a private nurse because my brother can no longer be trusted in our home to take care of mom. My brother acts like he forgot we bought out the home and saying the situation isn't fair to him because he was acting like mom told him he could have her house for taking care of her and doesn't know what is really going on, and he's been fighting with Sky and Parker. Sky refuses to help us clean if Nate is there, and my husband wants to press charges and sue my brother. But I want to first clean up the house and focus on mom, and all sides are mad at me. Update: I told my husband we will start contacting lawyers on Monday. I feel like the police will be involved because there have been multiple wellness checks on the house as my husband and I clean. My son has been sitting with my mom, and a social worker came by and talked to her, and both the police and social worker have talked to family members. I'm not sure what's happening, but I am taking FMLA and staying in the home temporarily as we look for care. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I'd say you are not the idiot if you evict him and hire a private caretaker. I would. Even if he's taking care of his mom's room and her bathroom, he's letting the rest of the house get nasty. That's shirking responsibility and still putting your mom in danger health-wise. But be careful with the whole "we own the house so we can come over anytime we want" ideology. Depending on the laws in the area, that's not always entirely true. Comment 2. Your thesis of encouraging my children to disrespect their uncle doesn't even scratch the surface of what's going on here. Everyone sucks here except for maybe your kids. This is a difficult situation, but it also has an obvious solution. You must evict your brother. There is no other result that fixes this. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my update. It's been, interesting of a few days since my last post. After the police and social worker visits, things have only gotten more complicated. On Monday, my husband and I started contacting lawyers as planned. We wanted to explore our options for evicting my brother Nate and ensuring my mom receives proper care. However, before we could even schedule a consultation, we received a call from the hospital. Apparently, my mom had fallen and broken her hip while Nate was supposed to be watching her. He claims he had just stepped out for a few minutes to grab some groceries, but the timing seemed suspicious. When we arrived at the hospital, the doctors informed us that mom would need surgery and extensive rehabilitation. They also expressed concerns about her living situation and the level of care she had been receiving. It was a gut-wrenching moment, realizing that we had let things get this bad. As we sat in the waiting room during Mom's surgery, tensions between Nate and the rest of the family reached a boiling point. He accused us of trying to take the house away from him and claimed that Mom had promised it to him in exchange for his care. My husband lost his temper and nearly came to blows with Nate, but I managed to separate them before things escalated further. The surgery was successful, but Mom's recovery is going to be a long and difficult process. We've decided to move her into a rehabilitation facility for the time being, where she can receive round-the-clock care from trained professionals. It's not ideal, but it's the best option we have right now. Meanwhile, the situation with the house remains unresolved. Nate is still living there and he's refusing to leave voluntarily. We've served him with an eviction notice, but he's threatening to fight it in court. It's a mess, and I'm not sure how it's all going to play out. To make matters worse, I've been doing some digging into Nate's background, and I've uncovered some disturbing information. Apparently, he has a history of drug abuse and has been in and out of rehab multiple times. It explains a lot about his erratic behavior and the state of the house, but it doesn't make it any easier to deal with. I've also been thinking a lot about our family dynamics and how we got to this point. Growing up, Nate was always the troubled one, constantly getting into scrapes and causing problems for our parents. I think they always had a soft spot for him, though, and were willing to overlook his flaws. Maybe that's why Mom was so quick to trust him with her care, despite his lack of reliability. As for me, I've always tried to be the responsible one, the one who holds everything together. But now I'm realizing that maybe I've been too passive, too willing to let things slide for the sake of keeping the peace. It's a hard lesson to learn, but I know I need to be more assertive in standing up for what's right, even if it means ruffling some feathers. Despite all the chaos and heartache, there have been some bright spots in the past few days. Sky and Parker have been incredibly supportive, helping out with Mom's care and offering a shoulder to cry on when things get tough. And my husband, despite his initial anger, has been a rock, standing by my side through it all. I know we still have a long road ahead of us, but I'm hopeful that we'll come out of this stronger as a family. We've been through tough times before, and we've always managed to pull through. It's just a matter of taking things one day at a time and leaning on each other for support. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks again for reading and for all your kind words and advice. It means more than you know. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!